When were you born?
I was born in a little manger on a camel.
Some time ago.
Some time ago.
What war had we just fought or were about to fight?
Civil. No one was civil. Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Music speaks to people, it speaks to me, and if you listen to the music, every piece of music has something to say. I felt that way if I played a composition for the 500th time. The song does not get old to me. Yeah, I didn't realize that you could make a career out of music. I had no idea. When I play the organ, I'm conducting, more or less. And I'm putting everything I can into it. And it might be psychedelic. I never thought of that, to tell you the truth, because it's so one with me. Music, I've always loved, but music is like breathing to me. You know, it's like trying to be paid for breathing. I like to think that the organ is very expressive. All the songs on my albums have been requested sometime or other. I had a lot of requests from Misty. Look at me. I can tell you how many people made a proposition, proposed to their wife in the clubs. They would tell me afterwards they'd be married. So I know it's always a joy. I love music, and it's always a joy to play. So one night, I was playing with a friend of mine, and this lady kind of objected the way I got out of the organ bar because she wouldn't move for me. And I said, well, I'd have to go past your legs. And she says to her husband, you hear what he said to me? There were 500 people in my hometown. And there were no organs, of course, all piano. There was a Pentecost, a Baptist, a Methodist, and a Christian church. They speak in tongues, and it's quite interesting, really. You get the Holy Ghost, and they sing. We used to go in just to listen to the music because it was really interesting. My father, he worked on the railroad, engineer on Illinois Central. And then he got pneumonia, they removed a rib, and that was the end of that. So then he had a restaurant in Patoka. My mother taught all 8 grades in one room. And I remember her telling me one time that it was difficult telling the family why they should use different toothbrushes instead of just one for the family. That was her health program, is to get everybody to have separate toothbrushes. We had an oil well in our backyard, but they had, in Salem, Illinois, they really struck a lot of oil. My Uncle Sam had a lot of oil wells on his property, and he was a very rich man from the time. And first thing they did was put plumbing in their house, and The first thing they did was put a toilet in the kitchen. For plumbing. The plumbing went around the side of the house, inside. I left Patoka when I graduated from high school. I went right to university, Southern Illinois. Oh, there were composition and theory. The teachers were not that strict, but the music was. I had a lot to learn because my ignorance was compelled by the city I lived in, and it was an eye-opener to me. I had been high school wasn't too enlightening, to put it that way. And when I got to university, it was just, my mind just flew. It was just, I couldn't believe all the things I didn't know. I had a job ushering in the theater in Chicago. When I'd usher, they would give me tips such as a package of cigarettes, bubble gum. Some man came to visit one time and wanted to know if I'd like to go and play the organ, in a church. And I don't know how that happened. I said, yes, I'd like to. And so it was a Hammond organ. It was one of the first ones they made. And this man set me down at the organ, turned it on, and set some of the stops for me. And I started playing, and I said, wow, wow. And he said, you can make different sounds if you draw the drawbars. You can make different. So I drew the drawbars, and I found out that you could make different sounds, your own sounds, from that organ. I couldn't believe it. So I don't know how long I was there, and this man just guided me through all this. To this day, I think it must have been Mr. Hammond himself. I really do. Lorenz Hammond. And I couldn't get it out of my mind. Out west, I hitchhiked out west one time. And there was a lady there who played organ. And she had an organ, and I couldn't believe she owned the organ. She said, would you like to play? I said, yes. So I sat down at the organ, and I played. She says, if you ever come to Chicago, I can get you a job, playing. I thought, job? Work never occurred to me. So I went to work and been working ever since.